Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by. So politics is a weird thing. A lot of people assume that, like, with my username, that I'm really politically motivated in a lot that I do, and I am, but I try to not make it the forefront of my personality. Politics does affect everything that we do, but in my personal life, I try to not make it my focus. There's a lot in this world that you can experience that staying politically motivated all the time you might miss out on. My point of bringing up politics, though, is the politics online, the political landscape with dealing with people online is awful. It's bad. There's no really nice way around that. A lot of people treat politics like it's a team game. It's us versus them. And personally, it sounds weird to say that I fall into that, but I am a type of person who, at least with living in the United States and the current climate that we're in, I am a type of person who will be one of those you should vote blue no matter who type people. And that's because I have yet to see a Republican candidate who actually speaks to me. There's plenty of things that I can criticize Democratic establishment candidates over, even the ones who are on the more progressive side, your squad people. There's plenty that you can criticize those people over. I don't think that you should limit yourself to criticize your political leaders just because they're on your side, if you want to call it a side. When you get to the internet side of things, it gets so much worse with this whole team game nonsense where people will just completely write off anything you say because of, you know, your candidate or who you align with, things like that. On a personal level, we shouldn't write people off just because they have a different political structure. There's always a person behind the politics. I think one phrase that, at least in the South, we hear a lot, and I think it's just because, I live in the Bible Belt, but there's a phrase of hate the sin, but not the sinner. I think that a lot of us could use that in our personal lives. The person behind these beliefs, someone who has these thoughts in their mind, more than likely, it came from their environment. You're raised a certain kind of way, your parents believe a certain kind of thing, you fall into those cycles. I don't think that it's up to you to try and change anybody's mind. You can try, if you're into that, sure. You're not obligated to try and change people's mind. I think you should be able to defend your own points if you're asked about it, but you don't have to be this, debate bro. I hear that a lot to everybody you meet. Again, if you're into that kind of thing, sure, by all means, I think one thing that is really lacking with left-leaning people is the ability to defend these points. A lot of the times you'll get I think the phrase that you'll hear a lot is you can Google it, or I don't need to do your research for you, things like that. No, if someone has questions and you can answer them, I think you should give it a try. If you can tell that someone is asking in good faith for answers, answer them for them if you can. You can always direct people to better sources, but if it's something that you believe, if you can't articulate your beliefs well enough to convince somebody else, do you really believe it? Or are you just sort of repeating talking phrases. We should be more willing to talk to people from any political background. But you will have irreconcilable differences with some people, and you're not obligated to change those people's minds. I think a big one in the modern world that we're coming up with now, especially, would be like transgender issues. I'm not expecting anybody who is a transgender person to try and debate with people who would call you a degenerate. That's a waste of your time. If you want to, by all means, but at the end of it, sometimes it's just not worth the effort. For your personal mental health, I mean. If you have the fortitude to deal with people like that, by all means, but don't feel obligated to do that. I don't think you need to have friends in every single political corner. Frankly, I feel like that's weird identity politics, to be honest. You don't need to have a catalog of friends. Like, oh, well, this friend's a Republican. This friend's an anarcho-capitalist. This friend's a communist. You don't need that. You can be friends with just people who you're friendly with, who you get along with. You just don't have to be disrespectful to people who have a difference of belief. That's not to say you don't need to be disrespectful to people who are disrespectful to you first. I don't think you should take things lying down, but try not to be the aggressor. You can defend yourself and you can defend your friends, but if you want to make this kind of progress, this sort of reaching out, changing minds, things like that, try to make it shown that you weren't the one who caused this rift. You just want to live how you want to live. And this person is saying that the way you live is wrong or anything like that. By all means, you can tear those people apart. But don't be the aggressor. Let them show their ass, and then you can put them to work. But I know it's tempting to just argue with people all the time. Hopefully, if you got a bad habit of doing that, hopefully you can break it, or just get more rhetorically talented so you can actually make your points better. But y'all try and have a good day.